Thank you for joining us today for the virtual Sunday service with the Center for Creative Living. CCL, a charter of the Universal Church of the Master, has served and supported the spiritual needs of its community here in the Bay Area for over 20 years.
Good morning, welcome. If we could all be seated. Thank you, Amanda. We were just waiting for you to get here. Thank you so much. And now, you were back to being Amanda. And Amanda, you want us to call you, Amanda, you want us to call you what?
I'm Amanda 2.0.
Yeah, she's Amanda 2.0.
Amanda 2.0.
Longer than he. Hold him down, Lord.
Oh, great. So, welcome. I think that I don't know what happened this morning. A lot of people slept in because it got nice and cool. Something was going on.
Opposite day. I was early. I'm never early. Unless I'm speaking. And I really. Yeah.
Oh, thank you all for being here. And I don't see that we have anybody passing out programs. And so, Luann, since I can see you, Lauren, rather, since I can see you, Kevin's going to do it.
I'll do it.
Kevin's in the back here.
Beautiful.
If you could please pass out some, that if people don't have them, that would be wonderful.
Come on, you guys need programs.
Yeah.
I made them. You gotta come and get them.
Yeah. Corky gets up early Sunday morning and makes programs for everybody, so the least we can do is grab one when we come in. And there's a lot of things that are going on in the world right now, and so I really feel that we need to start with some kind of connection, some kind of prayer of connection that's going to bring us all united this morning. And so I'm going to do some announcements, and then I'm going to just, as you know, I just grabbed somebody, but this morning I'm going to take our wonderful Janet Childs, because she's so good at putting together the words that represent what we're going through. With her working with the groups that she does and the things that she does, that's one of the things she is so wonderful at. So, Janet, when I ask for a prayer, you're going to just leap up. How's that sound?
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning and welcome. Come on in and have a seat. And so, anybody got a birthday this week? Any birthdays? You know, it's like that. I think you're either ignoring your birthdays, which is not a bad idea sometime, but I am always want to bring it out and spotlight it. So please know that don't stay away from church because you know Dottie's going to spotlight your birthday. Just know I'm always glad that you're getting another year older, okay? There's been so much going on in the world. And as you know, we talk about prayer. We don't care whether you're Christian or Jewish or Buddhist or Zoroastrian or whatever. We know that you have the same Creator. And the Creator is who we call on when we're in a time of need, we're in a time of wanting somebody or something to step in and let us give them our burdens. Every once in a while we need to call out and say, I need some help here. And I found for me personally that when I do that, when I reach out and say, I need some help, I get this warm feeling of you are not alone. So today, as we're here in service, and before we go into the wonderful talk that our wonderful Reverend Chris Brown is going to do, I want you to bring that energy in. Just that energy, that soft energy of the Creator, okay? And we're going to start, usually our wonderful Reverend Janet Childs, she does a meditation, but I'm going to ask her to do the starting prayer and then lead it into her meditation. Can you do that, Jen?
Okay, so should I
Yeah, you come right on up, and this is the Reverend Dr. Janet Childs.
So I'll do it from here, right?
Yeah. That's perfect. Or you can come sit on my lap. It's okay.
There you go. I love either one.
Whichever.
Options, there's always options.
Yeah, options.
Yeah.
So I want us all to invoke the highest and deepest and most rich Creator in whatever way we see this. Let go of the outside world, my friends, and let us bring forth the energy of healing, of community, of comfort, of joy, and feel the connection you have with everything, because the Creator is everything, within everything, through everything. And just allow yourself to feel a part of that flow, to feel a part of that energy. Beloved Creator, we open our hearts to you in all of the ways that we can make that connection. We are humans living a human life. You are in everything, and we open our hearts to you. Where we are struggling, we ask for comfort. Where we are tired, we ask for energy. Where we are feeling alone, we ask for companionship. Where we are at our deepest moment of sorrow, we ask for peaceful connection. Beloved Creator, we know you are in, through, and of all things. We feel your energy coursing through our veins, and we know that we are you and you are us. Thank you for creating this space. We thank you for Reverend Doti, for Reverend Corky, for all of the people that make this CCL community possible. All of the people that are a part of that incredible moment of creating this space. We thank the Billy DeFrank Center. We thank Gabrielle. We thank Ed. We thank Reverend April. We thank all of the energy that it takes to create this nest of community where we can open our hearts to you. And for all of that gratitude, we lift it up to you. We lift it into ourselves because you are us. And so it is. And now, my friends, want to allow ourselves to now enter into this sacred space that you all create by your presence here. The wonderful Reverend Chris is going to take us on a journey today. And to do that, we need to leave the outside world outside. And so I want you to imagine, and for those of you on Zoom as well, leave all of the cares and worries behind. This is our sacred time, our sacred place. And it brings forth the power that we can be for ourselves and for each other. And so I want you to go to a beautiful place. And it's a place that you might call heaven. What is your view or vision of the most sacred, wonderful place? What is in your mind's eye? What is in your heartbeat? go to that place now and see us as a circle around you. See us as that circle of community, of strength, and of power. And as you hold your light in that community, we create a matrix of light, love, permission, holiness, and freedom. And feel the energy course through your body. Every cell of your body is touched by this communal light. And however we change forms, however we evolve to our next moment in the universe, know that that pulsing light lives within you, emanates from you, and brings you home to the infinite beauty of all that is. And so just allow yourself to be in this moment and to feel your worth, your unique energy braiding together and building what we can claim forward together. It takes each and every one of us. And feel the cells inside of your body sing. Just know that that energy is there for you and is there for everyone that you meet. It is ever present. And allow your heart to sink into that. Just sink into that infinite, amazing energy that is you. Beyond time, beyond events in your life, beyond change, there is that constant. And just allow yourself to be in that moment. To We are the bridge to life and death. We are the bridge. With every breath, we are the bridge that calls us home. We are the bridge, and we flow like a river unto the sea. We're flowing infinitely. We are the bridge. We are the bridge. We are the bridge. Join with me. We are the bridge. 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 Take my hand. We are the bridge. We are the bridge. Take my hand. We are the bridge. We are the bridge. Bring it on home. We are the bridge. We are the bridge. We are the bridge. Bring it home. We are the bridge. We are the bridge. Bring it on home. We are the bridge. We're never alone. We are the bridge. We are the bridge. We are the bridge.
And just take a nice deep breath and hold that in, of not being alone as a bridge, but a bridge connected to all of the other bridges in the world. Thank you so much, Reverend Janet. That was beautiful. I want to take a moment to do something we don't do every time, but we have a new ministerial student and somebody who's been excited about joining us said, Amanda 2.0, you win! Come on up, I want to give you your books. Oh! So these are ministerial books, and this is a Doti Boon book. There you go, thank you.
Very bingeable.
And do you want to introduce your parents, or do you think that would embarrass them?
I think they're gonna just be embarrassed. Hi everyone, my name is Amanda. I started coming here since about February. I originally was just looking for my tribe and a community of like-minded folks where I could delve more into my spiritual side and understand it. I felt like my previous experiences with religion were contained. They were coming from other sources, and it didn't really resonate with me. And I'm so grateful to be here with you all to explore what spirituality means for me and my truth and how I can show up in the world.
Yay!
And I'd love to introduce you to my parents. My dad is Doti Boon, and my mom is Toronto.
Welcome. Thank you for coming.
They loved me so much that they wanted to make sure I wasn't joining a cult.
Amanda, my mom did the same thing.
So did mine.
So did my dad. He did the same 40 years ago, she said, Jim Jones, but that was right after the graduation. So she said, it isn't a cult, is it? And I said, I don't think so. They say we can leave anytime we want.
My dad thought, when I first started coming here, he took me out to dinner the next week or 2 weeks. And he's like, Amanda, you know that's black magic. I was like, Dad, it's not black magic. And he's like, okay, well, I just want to. I was like, I'm fine. It's not a cult. Because he thought that we were involved in like black magic, and I'm like, no, Dad.
There's a lot of energy work, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And my parents flew all the way from Ohio to check in on me.
It's a rite of passage.
It is.
But isn't it wonderful we have parents that love us that much? I think that's the greatest gift that's the greatest takeaway here, is that our parents want to make sure, not that we're following their path, but we're following a path that is safe for us.
Right.
And that is incredible. Thank you so much. We're so glad to have you here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we have something coming up at noon. For those of you who, did you all get a program?
Yes.
Anybody not have a program? Okay. The bereaved people are going to be here. They're going to come in at noon, and what they're going to do is they're going to, if you want to have this done, curious about your blood pressure, oxygen levels in your blood, how your lungs are functioning. They're doing this. This is free. They're doing this as a part of a program, and they want to make sure that you're living the best life you can. So if you want to stay at noon and have your oximeter, I don't know, what's an oximeter, April?
It's to check the saturation of your oxygen.
Oh,
Yes,
thank you.
oxen.
I thought it had to do with oxen, and I was real impressed. I didn't know. Okay, so an oximeter, good. And because it's so important as you go through life to find out where you are, what's going on. You know, I don't know how many of you, your doctor says, well, take your blood pressure every day. That's the way we're going to know how you're doing. Now, I don't know what they do with that information, but okay. So I just text my doctor. Thank goodness I don't have to do anything else but text it at what it is. And since I'm a heart attack survivor, they're kind of want to know what my blood pressure is doing. Are those related? I asked our wonderful Reverend April because she's a lot more medically trained than I am. Yeah.
Well, Jan's even better than me.
Yeah, Jan is that way.
The whole idea is that if your systems are all working well, then there's less chance of a problem. So whether it's your oxygen level or it's your blood pressure, or your heart rate, all those things are signals if they're out of balance that something's up.
Okay, good. That's fantastic. Yes.
And I have a note from Joan Stus about
Yes.
her
Class.
her Friday night class. Excuse me, pardon me. I tied my shoes today.
By yourself?
I dressed myself. Thank you very much.
For those of you who don't know why she's so proud of it, her arm has been in a sling for months.
Shoulder replacement, yeah, and it just, now I'm just limited to 5 pounds on this side, but I can carry a lot on this side. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, so she's not going to be here today because of the tea, and so this is from Joan. So Friday at 7 p.m. Will be Tell Your Story. The link is the same as it has been in the past, and we will be looking. She'll be talking about her new spiritual astrology class. Okay. So anybody that joins that meeting, feel free to do it this coming Friday.
I'm here for it. I'm here.
You're
Well,
She's like, I did it. It just came undone.
You did it. You get credit.
you did it just as well as any
Thank you.
3-year-old.
That's right.
Thank you.
well, I didn't put it in knots, which I, because by then it's, yeah, that would have
Thank you.
required too much pulling.
Okay. One of the other things.
In the class we're going to be doing Thursday night.
Yeah, Thursday. Thank you so much. Thursday night. This coming Thursday night is going to be our minister Cheryl Lewis, and Cheryl's going to be talking about all sorts of things because she's going to be talking about your aura and
Chakras.
oh, okay. She's going to be talking about auras because she's also going to be talking about chakras. Thank you. And she's going to be helping you learn how to use your pendulum If you want to use a pendulum I don't know how many of you ever get lost. Now with a wonderful Siri helping us, we don't get lost as much. But it used to be that we could stop and use a pendulum and find out where we were. And a pendulum is just one of those things you can use for so many different things. Pendulums have been around for centuries. People used to use it very much for healing. Somebody would come in, you didn't know what was wrong, they'd use a pendulum, and they could figure out what was going on in your body. And so pendulums have been used to find water. I don't know if you've ever heard of anything called water witching. Mm-hmm. And they, you take a forked stick, and my grandfather did this, and you could find wells. And since I was being raised in the desert, finding water in the desert was one of the greatest gifts that we felt we got from Creator. And you could do it with a stick, and the energy would flow through you, and you could discover places where you could drill for water. And so learning how to use a pendulum, finding out where all the different chakra energies are in your body, fascinating. That's Thursday night. It's at the UCM office. It starts at 7. Please be there at 7 because we believe we're going to have quite a few people coming to this class. And if as you know, UCM, if you want a seat, it's nice if you get there early, okay? And if you have any problems finding UCM, let us know. If you've never been there before, we'll give you written instructions, okay? Anybody have any other announcements? Well, look at you guys. You're not jumping up and down and saying, hey, I've got an announcement. Well, that's great, because that's going to give our wonderful Reverend Chris Brown longer to speak. Chris, why don't you come on up here?
Hey, Chris.
Hey, Chris. And I'm going to just sit right here behind you, and I promise I won't do anything negative. Like make faces.
I won't do anything negative.
No, I won't make any rude comments or anything else. And
what time do you want to end?
10 till, or 5 till. Because we started a little bit late. Did everybody get a pamphlet on their tier of 5 wishes? Okay, thank you.
Wow, I can do, yeah.
What do you want to do with the mic?
Nothing, Mike looks great.
Okay,
Mike and John and Steve, all look great.
And Ed and Kevin.
Ed and Kevin and Tony are fabulous. So the topic today, the 5 wishes, subtitled Death, the Dying, and Spirituality. And I was sitting back there and thinking, here's really the real subtitle, the threads that make up the fabric of our existence. So I'm going to be talking about threads of my existence, and I think that people, each person has his or her own existence, but there's a lot of commonality. So I'm going to share, as I often do, about what happened to me. Great. And you guys will be able to find a place in yourself that resonates and see what you can do with that. So about, 2 months ago, I offered to speak on the 5 wishes. And Doti asked me to incorporate some thoughts about death and dying and spirituality. So in order to get a broader perspective on my own life and my own near-death experiences, I thought I should take an inventory. I thought I'd share with you a few of the events that I'm aware of in my life where I've been closer to the threshold than I care to admit. When I was, and this is going to get better, so yeah, we go down and come back up, I promise. When I was 3 years old, I nearly drowned in the swimming pool at the private school I attended that my mother taught at. Wow. I couldn't get a grip on the slippery cement sides, and I kept going under. Adults were all around, but no one noticed me. As I remember it, somebody finally hauled me out. This event, as with many others, has been with me my entire life. And from it, I took on the mistaken belief that there's no one out there who really cares about me. Wow. In the 5th grade, I went to the beach with my younger brother and the next-door neighbor and his dad. The sky was gray, as it often is. The water was dark. And even just standing in the shallows, we got pulled down by an undertow. I remember eating sand, when I haven't been interested to go to the beach for the rest of my life. I learned that the ocean is treacherous and uncomfortable, and that my suffering doesn't matter. There's a theme in my stories, I'm sorry. Y'all have heard a lot of this before. But I have new stories.
No, these are new stories.
They are. Yeah. At the age of 17, vacationing in Spain for a month, 4 of us waded into water only waist deep. With me were a friend my age, very skinny, her large middle-aged mother, and her younger brother, only 13 but already 6 feet tall and a mama's boy. We noticed that there was no one on the beach. We had it to ourselves. What luck. After a few moments, we noticed that we're no longer in waist-deep water. We were no longer near our umbrella in the sand. We were being pulled out to sea. Alicante, Mediterranean, if you know the place. It's a great way to go. Okay. My friend and I realized this and shouted to the mother and son to swim in. They tried valiantly but couldn't make any headway. They were panicking and ducking under the waves. My friend and I turned around, so I'm back to reach them, and with tremendous effort, grabbing an arm or a swimsuit, ever so slowly continued to dog paddle against the current. Our voices were calling out to the shore, but there were few people there. As francophones in fright, our Spanish vocabulary completely left our minds. We continued to struggle and were able to locate a sandbar about 50 yards from the shore, where we dropped to our knees and rested, heaving and exhausted. No one came to save us. We eventually made it back to the beach, a quarter mile from where we had entered the water.
Wow.
It was only then that we looked up and saw the red flags of caution that had been flying all morning. Our ignorance of beach signage had nearly been our downfall. I learned that I was fallible and that my ignorance could dramatically affect my life and those of others. More stories. As a young adult, one Halloween day, I drove up to Estes Park in the Rockies. I had a backpack filled with food and drink. I did not know the mountain. There was beautiful deep snow. I parked at the trailhead for Bear Lake and took off following some footprints in the snow. I fully expected to run into the footprint owners at the lake and would return with them. When there was no one at the lake and no one in sight, I discovered to my horror that the hikers before me had already returned before I stepped onto the trail, and I was out in the snow alone. Cold to the bone and panicking, my fingers were too stiff to untie the knot in my backpack. I sat on the trail and looked skyward, running every prayer I had ever heard through my head. Father, Mother God, Shema Israel, Nam Yoharim Gikyo. Obviously, I made it back, but I swore to be more cautious after that. I was confused how I could have prepared so much and yet caused my own perilous situation. But I hadn't learned my lesson. Now, this is my late 20s, and this larger is only 9 months, what I'm about to talk about. And then, around the same time, I discovered psychedelic mushrooms, and I had several experiences that were very important to my metaphysical journey. But I did so in ways that simply were not safe. The first time I took them, I was at home, and someone rang the doorbell. That was awkward. More often, I went to Mono Lake and tripped, sitting tucked away in the tufa with my beloved Chihuahua Dachshund puppy, her leash tied to my ankle so she wouldn't run away or get too hot. Once, I was on a 9-day backpacking trip in a group in the backwoods of Yosemite. I told the leader I was going to return to my tent to take the mushrooms. She was okay with that. Now, is that a problem? I stepped back out of my tent and went crossing a bridge over a rushing stream. Thankfully, I got safely back to my tent, set my shoes visibly outside the flap to assure the leader I was inside, and went to sleep. I felt ashamed that I had put myself in danger again, and I felt lucky not to have fallen into the rushing river and drowned. On another trip to Europe, in the Alps, probably in June, I was traveling solo as usual, and I fell head over heels in love with a mountain covered in ice and snow. This is sort of a sister mountain to Shasta. It's called La Meige, and it's absolutely stunning. I stopped the car and I took a room in a farmhouse just below the bowl. In the morning, I hiked up the sheep trails higher and higher. I had some sort of map that showed a hiker's hut halfway up the bowl. The closer I got to the hut, the more nervous I became. But way up the bowl, I finally reached the hut, and I turned in relief and waltzed back down the trail to my car. In the village, I stopped at a hiking store. I told the owner where I had been. He kept asking me, here? No, higher, up to the hut. Here? No, further. I finally showed him where I had gone. He put the map down. He looked at me incredulously and he says, La montagne, ça tue, tu sais? The mountain, it kills, you know? Apparently, this exquisite mountainside was avalanche prone, and I had been in the thick of the path. Once again, in an effort to maximize my relationship with nature, I had put myself in physical danger without knowing. And yet I had survived my own ignorance. Was somebody looking out for me? There have been other experiences, road hazards on mountain passes, sexual assaults in urban streets on 2 continents, parasailing in Mexico, friends dying of AIDS or COVID. Suffice it to say, I've been faced with a number of near-death or at least very frightening experiences. Each time, I think I'm smart enough and prepared enough, and then I discover another layer that I failed to consider, whether it's physical preparedness, the surroundings, the language, whatever. And yet I'm still here.
Yay!
Has someone been looking out for me? Have I a destiny that I'm supposed to fulfill? I've come to understand that it is my responsibility to take appropriate caution, which I've been getting better at.
Yay, there you go.
And at the same time, stuff happens.
Right.
We could be here today and gone tomorrow. Death awaits us all. Apparently what they say is we won't get out of here alive. So, no matter your beliefs, how can we prepare for the inevitable departure? And this is where I get into the 5 wishes. Now, don't turn to them yet. We're not there yet. I'm doing another intro, but we're moving to the 5 wishes here. In August 2017, my mother died. We knew she was headed in that direction. She was 87 years old, and she had been steadily regressing since the passing of my dad, Thanksgiving the year before, and he was 93. And during my mother's decline, I had spent some time with her, but it was never quality time. If we had not been related by blood, my mother would have never chosen to have me in her circle. As much as I am the child of her rearing and the beneficiary of her choices and her priorities and her demands, I was a constant disappointment to her, and she didn't want me to be anywhere near her. And that was true to the bitter end. My elder brother, however, was the apple of her eye, even when his behavior was loathsome, violent, immoral, or criminal. And it was my elder brother who ended up the executor of my mother's estate, a role which he took on with gusto. I ended up in 5 years of litigation with him, which cost several years' high-tech salary. At any rate, a year after my mother's death, I was faced with needing a potentially dangerous medical procedure. And not unexpectedly, my elder brother had already taken steps to embezzle the majority of the estate for himself. Understanding that my inheritance was already vulnerable to theft, I wanted to make sure that my remaining personal assets would be protected and my loved ones would be well supported, and that my own values and choices would be respected were I to perish in the surgical event. I needed to protect my own family in ways that my mother and father had not protected me. I put together a will and I began to do research on trusts. And that's when I found out about the document, The 5 Wishes. The 5 Wishes is a living will, also called an advance directive, that not only addresses your physical and financial assets, but also talks about your personal, emotional, and spiritual needs and your medical wishes as well. So specifically, the 5 wishes cover who do you want to make health care decisions for you when you can't make them, what kind of medical treatment you want or don't want, how comfortable you want to be, how you want people to treat you, and what you want your loved ones to know. Now, if you've done a will and trust and all that kind of stuff, you've already done 1 and 2. So, wish 1, who do you want to make healthcare decisions? I have a little aside here that's really long, and I'm going to make it really short. In 2018, when I had the surgery, we had been together for 23 years, my partner and I. Each of us had been married to a man and divorced, and we weren't jumping to get married. I was more interested than she was. And I started to fill out all the paperwork that it took, I should just read this. So, as I pondered filling out a large number of forms in order to ensure that she would be the beneficiary that she deserved, I finally said, screw it, I'm not going to fill out 1,000 pieces of paper just to protect you. You have to marry me, that's it. And
so romantic.
it is very, money could be very romantic. Assets. So she didn't jump at the idea, she had to be cajoled, but we finally spoke to the right person, convinced her, she said, okay. And I tell you the story because if you are sitting on the fence about whether to tie the knot, I encourage you to look at the pros and cons and figure out what is your absolute objective. Mm-hmm. If your objective is to keep your own to yourself, maybe marriage is not the answer. However, if you're looking to protect your relationship, your family, to take advantage of the legal processes ready-made to support your loved ones, please consider taking the step. I can tell you that in one fell swoop, a tremendous burden was removed from my shoulders. I was able to relax to a deeply intimate level. And Robin, who was very resistant to be anyone's wife, 4.5 years on, still delights in being called wifey. That's what works for her. Who am I to object? Back to the 5 wishes. It's all written up. Basically, who do you want to make these decisions? And I selected as a secondary person somebody at CCL whose value systems were like mine, and if there was anything I hadn't written down, I was convinced that that person would make a decision, in the absence of Robin, would make a decision that would be within my comfort level. Wish 2. My wish for the kind of medical treatment I want or I don't want. And it talks about life support treatment. And it also, this form allows you to make comments. And the form, which is 8 pages, mine is 14, because I wrote 6 pages of comments. I want to read you one of these. It asks, what is a meaningful life? And I wrote, a meaningful life would include, but not be limited to, the recognition of friends and family, the ability to significantly experience at least one of the 5 senses, sight, touch, taste, hearing, smell, with reasonable comprehension. That's not something I'd ever thought about before. What would it mean to have a meaningful life? There it was. Wish 3. My wish for how comfortable I want to be. It's alertness, depression, nausea, hallucinations. It's about having a cool, moist cloth put on your head if you have a fever. Having your lips and mouth kept moist to stop dryness. Warm baths, massage with warm oils, your favorite music. Grooming, religious readings, hospice care. For me, in terms of religious readings, I wrote down that I love the poem High Flight, Touch the Face of God, and the part in The Little Prince where the fox talks about the rose. Also on page 8, wish 4, my wish for how I want people to treat me. About having people near me, holding my hand, talking to me, praying for me. It talks about kindness and cheerfulness, and specifically not sadness. I had a lot to add. I'm going to read a portion of what I said. I totally support my friends and family to pray for themselves, for their personal journeys. For me, I want people to pray for the best result. I do not want people to pray specifically for my recovery, but rather for peacefulness, gratitude, appreciation, and joy. I want people to support my transition and not resist it. I want people to trust my path and my process and not assign blame for my condition or prognosis. I am not afraid of moving on. But please know that I will miss all of you, all the while being joyous that I will join my beloveds on the other side.
Wow. Yeah.
Wish 5. My wish for what I want my loved ones to know. I wish to have my friends and family know. I wish to be forgiven for. I wish for all of my family members to make peace with each other. I wish for my wishes to be respected. So one of the questions is, what do I want people to remember about me when I'm gone? Again, I'm presenting my answers, but I'm hoping that you guys can find your answers. Most of all, I want to be remembered as courageous. Not courageous against any one thing in particular, simply that I never wavered from my intention to be present for my life, whatever it may bring. The question, what do I want for a memorial service? In here, I wrote the names of people I wanted invited to the service, people that other people don't know. And in addition to the notifications, I also asked that a full day of personal care be provided to one person in particular, and for another, a plane ticket plus the price of boarding the pets for 3 days. And then they asked the question, are there any other wishes? Here we go. Please donate my body for others' immediate use, but please don't donate my body or any of its parts to a lab. Then I designated my charities, including CCL, UMC, Center for Living, UCM, Center for Living with Dying, NAMES Project, and the Mona Foundation. And then, in Reverend Chris fashion, at my memorial service, I want to have a canned food drive.
Yes.
A collection of warm coats.
Yep.
If it's all about me, I want it to be all about serving and giving to others in a direct way. I especially request the following, in addition to the food and the coats. A separate section for collection of women's personal care and intimate items. A separate section for collection of packages of men's underwear and socks. A separate section for collection of children's books.
Yeah.
Destination, San Jose Life Moves Family Housing. All other donations can be distributed to a local food bank, homeless assistance center, or prison outreach organization. And I'm going to read also something I wrote, and this not everyone will agree with. I'll say it in advance, but it was important to me. It was a sentiment I had always had and never had a place to put it. So I encourage you to find deep in your gut, what's the thing you've always wanted to say but never could? Please do not express confining religious views in my service. Please do not refer to any person or idea as the one, or suggest in any way that any particular theological path is any better than any other. Please do not mention Jesus or make specific reference to him. I embrace all paths, even the ones that may seem contrary to good sense, even atheistic ideas. I want all, rather than one, to be the message of the day. Okay, so at the end of this huge conversation, there's still one more question. What will be my legacy? I can think of a lot of items in my home that I will leave behind, most of which my dear wifey will likely place in the dumpster once I'm gone. She's already told me so. But some things we leave behind have more staying power. What have I learned? Have I shared that with others? What competence have I achieved? Have I expressed that in physical space? What original ideas have I entertained? Have I recorded these anywhere? What have I mastered? Have I passed this mastery on to any apprentice? Have I fought the good fight to spread peace on planet Earth? And what do I want the world to know? Have I told them, really told them? As you consider these questions revolving around your own transition, I encourage you to reflect on the tremendous value your stories and your achievements and your desires and your values and your happiness all have, as these are the threads that make up the fabric of our existence. We are more than the sum of our physical parts. We remain in the hearts and minds of those who knew us while we were here on spaceship Earth, as well as those who may receive the benefits of our terrestrial actions after we have been lifted up off to our next adventure. So let's consider the question, what will be our legacy? Thank you.
Oh, wow.
Chris, will you, for the Zoomers and stuff, could you give the website or where they can find the website?
This website?
Yeah. Well, for instance, Amanda needs to.
So there's a institution, whatever, called Aging with Dignity. It's on the back here, but Aging with Dignity is like the umbrella organization, and that's where the Mother Teresa connection started, and they said we should do this. Aging with Dignity. You can go to 5wishes.org. You can also type in 5 Wishes fillable PDF, and there are a number of options. Some of them are linked, to other places. I would just go to 5wishes.org.
And spell it out. I mean,
FIVE.
Yeah, right, spell out 5.
Wishes.org, right. Or if you want, start with Aging with Dignity.
Thank you so much.
And Chris, I don't know if you know, but many of the hospitals are now carrying these. We found these at Kaiser, and you'll find them on an information desk. They're literally now very accepted throughout the medical community.
I actually uploaded it to Sutter Health.
Yep.
One of the things I want you all to realize, you have to put this somewhere where people can find it. We're still dealing with Michelle, that when Glenn died, Glenn's body is still refrigerated.
Oh.
It hasn't been buried, it has not been cremated, because there's no money available. And this is a man who left with a lot of money, a lot of things, but we cannot find the will. It was no place that anybody can find. Everybody's gone through everything he had to find it. He kept telling us he had a will, and we don't know where. So for me, I have a big folder that says in red, DNR, and that's because everybody that knows me knows that means do not resuscitate. In it is my 5 wishes, in it is my will, and in it is a piece of paper saying where my estate planning is, and where it's located, what kind of binder it's in, okay? Now, what happens if the house burns down?
It's recorded with the county.
It's gone. And so what I do is I gave a copy to my sister and to my granddaughter, because they're very important to me. But you have to make sure you don't just do it and stick it in a file in a cardboard box somewhere. If you have a safe deposit box, who's got the key to the safe deposit box if everything burns? So start looking at a very, very great way to put it somewhere where people can find it and tell more than one person.
And let your healthcare provider know.
Yeah, exactly.
That this is your latest.
Important. And when you mentioned the end of life, I was taken by ambulance to a hospital. At the time I had no idea what hospital I was in. And I came out of this horrible procedure for my heart, and when they put in a stent, and the first face I saw was the Reverend Janet Childs. It was so sweet to open my eyes, and she kind of went, oh, there you are. I mean, just this very sweet. So think of who you are also nominating to be there for you. Because if it's your grouchy uncle, don't put him in, But if it's a sweet, kind, gentle person, because you might not die.
Right.
You might just be there in the hospital, but you want to have a friendly face. And that's part of your DNR. The hospital will look at the things that you have requested. So please, this is very important. Thank you so much for bringing this to our attention. I really do appreciate it. And I want to thank you all for coming. I think this has been a closing prayer. We're going to pass the basket. If you have anything in your purse you would like to donate, Lauren, could you help pass the basket? And while you're passing the basket and putting in a donation. If you feel like today, I just don't have funds, please bless the basket. Okay, thank you so much.
So, the sacrament of giving? Giving to the ministry from which I receive my spiritual support and nurturing is an affirmation and consciousness of the truth that Spirit is a prospering power, enriching every area of my life.
And thank you so much. My throat just went dry. Thank you so very much for doing that. And know that now next week, we want you to be here. Who is speaking next week? I went quiet.
It's Desmond.
It's Desmond.
Yeah, Desmond.
And it's going to be amazing.
And
So
He's going to be
let's
speaking
talk about it.
about his religion that he grew up in. It's an island religion that I can't pronounce.
I know.
Yeah, the dates are wrong, but you guys know it's the next Sunday, right?
Next Sunday is Desmond, so please, we'd love for you to come. You do not have to be a minister. You do not have to be a ministerial student to give a talk. Each one of you has a talk inside. Whether you, quite a few of you have come from a different country, a different state. Some of you might have come from Florida, which is considered kind of a different state right now. There's places that you have come from where you do things differently. And we'd like to have you bring that in. Each one of you is a child of the Creator. And each one of you looks differently. And each one of you has a different view, a different attitude, a different belief. And we want to hear it. We want to hear, just like the tree of life that has all the different fruit growing on it. Each one of you is a part of the tree of life. But each one of you is a different fruit. You might even be a vegetable. You might even be a nut.
Oh, then you're a tomato if you're a fruit or a vegetable.
You don't
know what you are.
Maybe you don't have any idea what you are. You're welcome here. Because we know that you are love personified. And I want to, in saying that, say, who's on Zoom, Ed?
Anne, myself, Janice, Jean, Laura, Patty and Joyce, Ruth, Sky, and a Zoom user.
And a Zoom user.
It's like a paper bag over the head.
Yeah.
Who is that Zoom user?
That's right.
Yeah. Well, so for those of you on Zoom, thank you so very much. If you have any questions about the 5 Wishes pamphlet, give me a call. I have one too, and we can talk about it. Talk to the people about it. Talk to your loved ones. Don't just say, oh, I know that Cousin Jane is going to be my trustee. Cousin Jane might not want to. She might feel that I'm not able to. For me, I called my granddaughter and I said, Miranda, I have you down as the executor of my estate. And I said, is that okay? She said, Grandma, whatever you want, I'm here for you. Now, that does it. She's only 35. So she's going to be around for a long time. Everybody else in my life, I'm not sure about. So think about that. Pick somebody that is bright, intelligent, and doesn't get swayed. Somebody that you know is going to be voting your way after you're unable to vote. Now, and when I say unable to vote, quite often you might be in a hospital unable to do all the things that need to be done. So make sure the people you choose are the people you trust. So it's not like what happened to Chris, where the older son, who people knew he was unreliable, but he was the one designated the executor. It's hard to get an executor off after they've been designated by the trustee.
I just want to say that if you go to the website, you can do all of this writing online. You don't have to write it out by hand. But make sure you save it.
Make sure you sign it. It has to be signed by you. Don't just leave it in your computer. If you leave it in your computer, there's no way that anybody can testify you did it. So you have to print it out, sign it, date it, and what I do, and I'm sorry I'm running a little long, but what I did is I have this beautiful trust in a binder, and then I write specific requests. And these are in my handwriting, and I say, oh, by the way, I just got a car, and I want this to go to my grandson. Oh, by the way, and I put down their name and what it is I'm giving them. And so it becomes a living thing, not a dying thing. This is a living thing. You might go to a gem and minerals show, and you get a piece of, some great rock that you love, and you want to give it to somebody special. Do a specific request. Just put it down so whoever your executor is knows what exactly you wanted to do.
Yeah, and if you're divorced or someone has died.
Yeah, and you might put it. You might put your marriage certificate, your divorce papers if you've been divorced, whatever, in there too. So nobody has to worry about who you are, where you came from, what's going on. Yeah. Be specific, and do it while you're healthy. Okay, right. Thank you all so very much. Thank you, Chris. It was wonderful. Now, we have food galore over here on this table. This food. And we have coffee in the back. Stay and have a cup of coffee. I don't know where the breath people are. They're supposed to be here, but they'll be here shortly. We've got food that was donated to us over here on the tables. You've got a bag to take it in. Please, just go take the food, okay? And here comes Gabrielle and Nate, and okay, and thank you so much. We'll see you next week. Thank you, Mr. Missenden, for being here. We appreciate it. Thank you.